Well, good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Today is Friday, January 2nd, 2026. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central, talk about the grant, talk about strategies to access funding to start or grow a business, and talk about our programming. With that being said, shared screen, you should see 509pacific.org in the background. If anyone doesn't see that, just let me know in the Q&A in Zoom, but it should be showing there for you. And then secondly, we have our inset for our notes. Does everyone see the screen background? All right. So on 509pacific.org is where we host our resources. It's really segmented in three categories. The quick cache. The quick cache is really interesting, and there's a full training on it, but it's an near instant transfer of assets to help clients improve their financials. So that's a very popular vehicle. Again, full training on that and participate there if you want. Secondly, we give away shelf corporations. So to learn more about that, that's in the middle of the page. And at the bottom, which is really what we're primarily going to the market with, is how can we go about helping clients, participants, entrepreneurs, small business owners get funding. And we start with getting a free funding proposal. So that's what most how we reach out mostly to the marketplace. Our 501c3 nonprofit has received a grant. We're administering that grant, which has three mandates, one of which is to improve financial literacy. And again, I know it's like preaching to the choir with all of you, but there's a lot of people that don't know what you and I know. They don't realize that there's a formula for funding. We were talking earlier in the week about a formula for making a chocolate chip cookie, right? If you have a recipe and you have the ingredients, we can probably make chocolate chip cookies. It's not too good to be true. Well, when it comes to business funding, business financing, there is a recipe. It does require certain ingredients, but that's what we provide is the recipe and the ingredients. So that's number one. Number two is again having a shelf corp for entrepreneurs that do not have a business that's set up properly already. The shelf corp is kind of a business in the box, quick way to get them a business that's ready to move forward for funding. And then ultimately there's the funding. Now, I'm a realist. I understand most people care about funding. They really don't want to learn anything and they really don't want to hear about shelf corps. Most people just say, get me the money. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So, even though this might have been a better topic yesterday for New Year's Day, since this is our first session of the new year, our agenda is are we going to have a crappy new year or are we going to have a happy new year? There's lots of things that can make us happy, a lot of things that can make our lives positive or good versus negative or bad. Money is not everything. Family and health and relationships, I understand, but that's a little broader than what we address. But from a financial perspective, having adequate money can make a huge difference because it allows individuals to have the capital to start a business, those that currently own a business to be able to grow it. And so those of you who are affiliates or considering becoming an affiliate, which you can do for free right here on the website. There's no cost to be an affiliate. You and I together, have the ability to help people get the funding they need. Our approach is so much different. Spent quite a few top sessions recently talking about what makes our approach different. Well, one of which is we don't tell the client, the grant participant, how much funding they can get. They tell us what they want, and then we build legally and ethically the loan package to support it. And so blank check financing is actually a pretty good reference of the model that you and I offer people so they can have a happy new year. So again, many of you are very, very successful and we have a large audience again today. But not everyone's like you, Mr. Certain. Not everyone's like you, Mr. Harris or Mr. Boone. There's a lot of people that they do not have the money they need to be able to reach their potential. So, what are some things that you think people could use money for that would help them have a happier new year? Go ahead and type it into the Q&A. I want to see from your perspective, Amanda and Ben and Bernard, and we have a lot of you on. Just type into the Q&A if you could give someone a blank check for them to write a number in, what do you think they would use it for that would hopefully help them have a happier new year? Curious of your thoughts. And so we'll make a few comments here. So the first submission is to buy a business. And that's right. Some people, they don't want to start one. They don't want to grow one. They want to go out and acquire a business. So that's an option. Obviously, the normal start or grow. And then when we talk about start or grow, Amanda mentioned as well as Chris. So if we're going to grow a business, what could we use the money for? Well, it could be to buy, we'll call it hard assets or working capital, where examples of hard assets would be equipment, real estate, etc. Where conversely, working capital would be money so we can uh, buy inventory, hire staff, more marketing, etc. So it normally fits into those two different categories. Chris mentions a company car, and that would fall under the hard assets. So the wonderful opportunity that you and I have, assuming that you're an affiliate or considering becoming an affiliate, is not all, but nearly all small business owners, plus those people that want to be one, needs money. And what we can do is legally and ethically allow them to tell us how much funding they want so we can build the package to qualify. With that, I think it's important that we're clear, you and I, that we're clear on how can that happen? How is that not too good to be true? Well, again, we've talked about chocolate chip cookies. Certainly, if we have the recipe and the ingredients, we probably need a heat source too. But if we have the ingredients and recipe, we can make cookies. So let's dig in one more time here to talk about how does the formula for funding work? Because if you understand this, then all of a sudden this becomes a reality and we can help people with whatever it is they want so they have a better, brighter, stronger new year. So let's get down to the formula. So, what is the formula? All of you should know this by now. We've covered it before. You should be able to go out and teach this. What is the formula for a fundable business? It's E plus the three C's. E plus the three C's. Well, what does that mean? The E represents the business entity. We're not going to be able to go get a lot of business funding, financing, capital if we don't have a fundable entity. We need to start with that. Now, some people already have that in place. Great, let's use it. Other people don't, and so then we can provide them a free shelf core. But what is necessary at the core element to have a fundable business entity? Well, we certainly need to have an entity that's in good standing at both the federal and state levels. So we need to have a C Corp or S Corp or LLC, or it could be a nonprofit or for profit, but we need to have a business entity that's in good standing and, of course, in the client's name. We're going to need to have a business plan. And this is where we start. Some people kind of feel like this is academic or bureaucratic. It shouldn't really be necessary. But if we're talking about large amounts of funding, then lenders typically are going to want to see a business plan. The business plan describes what it is that we do, what we want to do, how much money we need. It tells our story. Now, the good news is with the Shelf Corps, we provide a business plan. It comes with it. It's ready to go. If they don't want our shelf corp, that's fine. Then we can just get them into the funding process, but then we're going to have to work with them to either improve or create their business plan, which is fine as well. But we need a plan, and that plan is good internally. So, we as the business owners know where we're going, and it's crucial externally so the lenders understand. Can't get around that. We're going to need financial projections for larger lenders. They're going to typically look for an explanation of how you're going to use that money, whatever it is that we're asking for, how's it going to be used, and how's that going to translate into future cash flow so we can afford to pay it back. With the Shelf Corp, we provide the financials. They're already built out. We can modify those if needed. If someone doesn't need our Shelf Corp, then they can just come right into the proposal. We can use their projections or help them create or modify their projections. Lastly, we're also going to need a good commercial address. And this is an area that is easily dismissed. But as we go through this isn't really asking you what your opinion is, because your opinion doesn't matter, nor does mine. We're equal. These are the facts. This is what we need to have a fundable business. This is the first variable. So, unique commercial address, we provide one for free that they'll just pay for the mail forwarding through the Shelf Corp, or if they just want to come into the funding proposal, they can get their own address. But that address needs to be a commercial address. It needs to be unique in the sense that it's not a shared suite number. So, this in summary equals the E. Does anyone have questions on this? Because this isn't some sales pitch to get someone to get a shelf corporation from us, not at all. But if you and I are responsible to go out and educate people, because we're all about financial literacy and helping them get blank check financing, they need to know the formula. And this is the formula. And either we can provide it to them for free through the Shelf Corp or they can do it on their own. That's fine. Anyone have questions on the first variable of the formula so we can help people have a happy new year instead of a crappy new year? Okay, I think we're all on the same page. So that leaves the other variables that we need to talk about, the three C's. Before I show it on the screen, who can go ahead and type into the Q&A, what are the three C's? We've discussed it many times. If you're newer to our morning sessions, it's okay if you don't know. But I'd like to have any of you respond. What do the three C's stand for? If you can take a moment to type that. What are the three C's that if we're explaining to someone, we're building financial literacy of how we can help anyone get a fundable business? There is a formula. We've described E, and now we need to make sure that all of you on knows what the three C's stands for. And Tram got it right. We're waiting for others to respond. So let's go ahead and go through it because we need to understand this. Even as an affiliate, where all we're doing is introducing the free funding proposal, financial literacy is crucial for us to be able to illustrate to individuals why this makes sense. Because if they can't get away from this formula, the formula is going to be is truth. So either they can use our ingredients to follow this recipe to make the cookies. They're going to have to follow the formula. Now, if they want, they can go ahead and provide their own ingredients. But now we're going to talk about the ingredients, the three C's. Except I just hid that accidentally. All right. So the first of the three C's, which several of you stated correctly, is creditworthiness. Creditworthiness is that reflection that either we as a person and or our business, if it was around, has paid its bills as promised. And people often get emotional about credit. And people almost always, when they don't have good credit, they'll tell me, well, I had good credit until the War of 1812, and then everything went to shit. Well, lenders don't care about the backstory. The narrative doesn't matter. It's three digits on a piece of paper or on a computer screen that dictates what your personal creditworthiness is. If it's not strong, we fix that. We fix it for free. It's part of the process, part of the grant. Business credit actually is a different algorithm, But for instance, there's like a paydex score, Paydex, which is the credit score through Dun and Bradstreet. It's actually 0 to 100. We need 80 or higher to be considered credible. But in both cases, creditworthiness is a historical record of how we have paid our bills in the past. And it could be a business credit report or a personal credit report. Not all lenders care about personal credit, some do, and we address both through our process for the free funding proposal. So we can't get past the three C's if we're going for traditional larger funding. And so it kind of makes sense. Here are the ingredients that we provide. We provide a good business credit profile and we provide a good personal credit profile. That's very, very important because if we don't have one of those three C's, see what a lot of people don't like is they say, well, I've got the entity and I've got some of the three C's. Isn't that good enough? Well, in some cases, there are some outlier lenders that'll fund off of just one of the three C's. But normal, larger business loans, if what we're trying to do is get blank check financing as much as we desire, we need, we're going to need the three C's. So it does need to be, it's not like horseshoes or hand grenades, the expression, close is good enough. We need to have good credit, and that's what we provide as part of the process for the first C. The second of the three C's, as Chris also stated, is collateral. Collateral are the assets, the real assets that can be demonstrated on paper, typically on the client's balance sheet, that shows that the borrower has assets to put up, that if they should not repay the loan, that the lender is not left with the exposure. It's a way for the lender to mitigate their risk. Again, I'm not here to ask you your opinion of do you think credit should be considered or if collateral should be considered. It is. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. It does. It's part of the formula. Well, if it's part of the formula, then we need to provide that. So that's another ingredient that we can provide for clients that need it is the collateral. So they rid themselves of the collateral shortfall, which is defined when they don't have as much collateral as they need. Most business loans, 50,000 or more, will require collateral. And then the third C is capacity, which several of you got correctly. Capacity also means cash flow. As we've discussed before, there's this continuum, this line. And so if you're standing straight up with your head straight ahead and you touch your nose and you stretch your left arm out, let's say that's the past, that's the history, that's 2025 and 2024 and beyond. So historical financials are how did we as an individual and or the business do financially? And so that can fit into the underwriting equation. But also what's really important are projections. Once we get that influx of capital, how will we use that and how will that affect our growth trajectory? So from a capacity or cash flow perspective, there's both historicals and projections. If we're an early stage, a pre-revenue business, there might not be any historical financials. Does that keep us from getting funded? No. Some lenders do not require the business to already be cash flowing. Some do. But projections are going to almost always be required. Well, how do we go about providing capacity, right? That sounds a little fishy. How are you guys going to give me cash for my business? We actually have two ways that are legitimate, legal, ethical. Number one, we provide free accounts receivables that we transfer to the grant participants. It's real AR, accounts receivables. So that goes on their balance sheet. So that makes the balance sheet look stronger. It provides assets for the collateral. But also we can turn around and liquidate that. And as of, I'll say today, technically yesterday, going into 2026, we have revamped our liquidation process. We just had a staff meeting with all of our attorneys this morning at 7 a.m. Central. So that process has been revised and improved. But that's number one way. So if we give the client AR, accounts receivable, and then as a licensed bonded insured collection agency, if we collect off of that, that puts money cash flow into the client's account. So that's one of the ways that we can legally and ethically provide cash flow capacity. And the second is we have the Opportunity Fund, and there's a link to participate on the Opportunity Fund here in 509 Pacific, here near the bottom, which is set up to put daily deposits in. So, wrapping it up, I ask you, what do you want to have going forward? Do you want to have in 2026 a crappy new year? I don't think anyone will choose that. Or do we want to have a happy new year? Certainly, there's a lot more that goes into happiness than money, but without money, we're not going to be able to reach our potential. If you're an affiliate or considering becoming an affiliate, you and I, we literally have the ability to guarantee in writing to the client, we can get you funding. We've got the recipe, we've got the formula, just the ingredients. You just need to engage. You need to participate, right? You could give some all the ingredients for a chocolate chip cookie and you could throw the recipe down in front of them. But if they don't mix and stir and bake, they're not going to have cookies. They're just going to have a pile of flour and some eggs still in the shell and probably some butter and chocolate chips, whatever else, maybe sugar that goes into that. We have to mix the ingredients and bake the cookies. Well, what we offer to do is tell everyone, here's the formula, here's the recipe. If you want to go create your own fundable business, then do it. That's fine. That meets one of our mandates. If someone wants to go get an entity that meets the fundability standards, great. If you want to go get your ingredients for your fundable business, go get your credit fixed somewhere else. It's free with us. Go get trade lines from someone else. You can go do that, but it's included with us. If you want to go get your collateral somewhere else, that's fine, but it's included with us. If you want to go get your capacity, those true bank statements, deposits that build your bank statements, you want to get those somewhere else, fine, but that comes with our program. So, what you and I offer is the recipe and the ingredients. Who has questions or comments on the concept of blank check financing and then really where the rubber hits the road, where the how the model works? Anyone have questions for me this morning? All right, Jeff's asking about how to get started as an affiliate. Super simple, Jeff. So again, on 509 Pacific, you can come over here, you click on this to become an affiliate for free. Normally, same day, you'll get your, at no cost, you'll get your affiliate onboarding email. Shortly thereafter, one of our staff will pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, Jeff, thanks for becoming an affiliate. Want to make sure you receive the onboarding email. And we provide immediately a link, and all you need to do, and the link looks like fundingproposal.org. So you'll have a link that looks just like this or very similar to it. And as an affiliate, all you're doing is maybe introducing this. You don't need to talk a whole lot. And then the prospect needs to put in their first name, last name, mobile number, email, referred by you, check the box, click the bar at the bottom. Now, once as an affiliate, you've submitted your first deal and you have gotten paid your first commission, you're paid 5%, 5 points at each client's capital raise. Then they create a new landing page that looks about the same, but it's hard coded to you, so the referred by is not a requirement. So, who else has questions regarding becoming an affiliate? All right, Chris says he became an affiliate, but he never received anything. Well, Chris, I don't want to call you out, but on December 10th, 2025 at 11:25 a.m., Chris, we sent you your onboarding email. We turned around and Madison sent it to you a second time after she talked to you on December 10th, 2025 at 3:35 p.m. So we have called you, Chris, and we've sent you two emails, and I can see that you received the second one that was sent December 10th, 2025 at 3:35 p.m. You received it, you opened it, you read it, and you clicked on it. So I know you're busy, Chris, and I'm not trying to rag on you, but we're pretty good about doing the best we can at what we promised to do. So often it may be a user issue on your side. But if anyone feels that somehow we've not onboarded you properly, it's real simple. 509pacific.org. Our phone number is here, and we could send you, Chris, that email a third time or fourth time or fifth time or sixth time. Marcos brings up a good point. As an affiliate, there's no cost. And that's great for you all. The disadvantage for us is we risk spending a lot of time and effort for people that aren't going to produce. So our model is we're going to give you a temporary landing page initially for your first deal. Bring your first deal in, so you'll want to make sure they put your name on referred by so you get credit. If not, you can always call us and we can manually add it. But once you have your first deal, the client gets funded. We send you a W-9. We get a direct deposit form so we can wire you your commissions. At that point, then our development team will set up a landing page that's exclusively for you. Therefore, the referred by is not important. But for the first one, you'll use the general one because we have hundreds and hundreds of affiliates. And as you'd expect, we have a small number that produce crazy volume, and we have a lot of people that don't do anything. And that's okay, that's up to them. But with that being said, we'll create a unique landing page once you've proven you can bring one deal to the table. And in the meantime, though, you'll need to include yourself on referred by. Varney, you and I talked recently, and I think, Varney, you said you have about 10 or 12 clients that you'll be submitting in, I believe, today. So several of you really have the knack of getting the word out and driving significant volume. Others seem to struggle a bit. And so with that, sometime because what's the role of the affiliate? The affiliate needs to go generate leads. You've got to have someone that comes to the landing page that fills it out. That's what your role is. We are looking at some resources that we could help you develop leads, but at this time, really, that's your job, that's your role. And if you're not able to develop leads, you may not be a good fit to be an affiliate because that's all you do. You don't have responsibility for servicing the clients or providing services or contracting, billing, collections. You just submit people in and get paid 5 points. I think some of you underappreciate 5 points, so I'll close on that. Let's look at what that means as an affiliate. So 5 points as an affiliate. So let me test your math skills. So, Marcos, let's say that you have a client you refer in and they only get the minimum. The minimum we guarantee is 100,000. What would be your commission, Marcos, or anyone if you want to type in a response? What would Marcos' commission be if he submitted one client that only got the minimum funding of 100,000? How much would Marcos be paid for simply taking someone, helping them get a funding proposal? We do everything else. What would Marcos's payout be for that? Yep, 5,000. So is 5,000 get rich quick? Of course not. But how much time and effort would you need to put into finding someone that's looking for funding and just helping them get a free funding proposal? Let's say that you spent an hour. I don't even know how you'd spend an hour doing that. That's 5,000 an hour, right? That's pretty good. But a lot of our clients, they don't want just the minimum amount. A lot of them like the idea of blank check financing. So let's do one more math question before we hang it up. Let's say it's more of a normal client. A normal client's usually looking for 1 million or more. What would an affiliate receive for one client that refers in one one affiliate that refers in one client that has $1 million capital raise? What would the payout be for the normal? So this is the minimum because we guarantee 100,000. What would be payout for a normal client? So now we're on a normal client. Go to that. Can anyone calculate what that would be? If the client receives $1 million and the affiliate receives 5%, what would that be? Yeah, sold, you got it. Now you're talking about some adult money. As an affiliate, you can be marginally active. There's no production requirements, but to me, that's a really good side income and it costs you nothing to be able to participate. With that being said, we'll hang it up for the day. We'll be back Monday morning. Hope that you'll join us. If there's anything that we can do to assist you, Chris, or those of you that haven't gotten or think that you haven't gotten your onboarding, go ahead and call in. But there's a high probability that if you signed up as an affiliate or what we call the opportunity fund, that you would have already received your email. You'll have your temporary link that'll look just like this, and you're ready to start helping people and making money. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you back on Monday morning, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Bye bye.